There is a center in your body that was meant to support your presence. But in many people, it learned to do the opposite. It learned to shut down, to shrink, to pull back. When that point locks, the breath shortens, the chest lifts, the voice gets smaller, and something inside you starts asking for permission to exist. A lot of people call this insecurity, but very often it does not begin in the mind. It begins in the body. It begins in an old defense that settled into this region and stayed active long after the danger was gone. That is why you know what you want to say, and your voice still shrinks. You know you need to stand your ground, and you still pull back. You know you have the right to take up space, and something in you closes before the choice is complete. In this video, you are going to locate that point, understand why it locks, and learn a simple signal that helps bring presence back to this center. Because when this point starts responding in a different way, the breath drops, the voice finds support, and the body stops hiding. There is a region in the body where presence and defense meet. It sits between the end of the sternum and the beginning of the abdomen, at the border between the chest and the belly. When this center is available, the breath drops, the voice holds, the body takes up space without hardening. When it closes, the opposite happens. The intention arises, then pulls back. The request appears, then dies before it reaches speech. Your presence does not disappear completely, but it begins to exist at a reduced volume. This happens because the body learned to protect itself. When the nervous system senses threat, the diaphragm shortens and the belly contracts. That is an intelligent response. The problem begins when it becomes a pattern. When being seen felt dangerous. When speaking came at a cost. When showing up felt risky. At that point, the body stops defending itself for moments at a time and starts living half closed. And then the breath no longer drops. The voice loses support. Presence becomes partial. When this center closes, it is not just posture that changes, it is the way you exist. That is what happened to Connie. Connie was 54 years old and worked in a school front office. She was efficient, organized, quiet. Her coworkers said she was calm, but it was not calmness, it was containment. Her voice was always just a little softer, her shoulders always slightly turned inward. She moved through the world as if she needed permission to exist. Before speaking to the principal, the tightness came. Before disagreeing with her husband, the tightness came. Before asking for anything for herself, it was already there, closing her center like an invisible fist. Her breath rarely moved past her chest. Something always caught. Therapy, yoga, affirmations, nothing reached the place where the contraction actually lived. Until one ordinary day, she heard a sentence that changed everything. The diaphragm is the gate that decides whether we exist or whether we hide. Connie felt her stomach tighten the instant she heard it, as if the body had recognized the truth before the mind did. Now, I want to take you to that same place. Bring your hands to the center of the body, where the ribs end and the abdomen begins. Just rest your fingers there. Do not change anything yet. Notice what that point is communicating. Maybe tension, maybe hardness,
Maybe the sense that the breath stops before it gets there. Now, explore the lower edges of the ribs with your fingertips, from right to left, then from left to right. Then slowly move down the midline, from the bottom of the sternum toward the navel. Notice where the body responds with the most rigidity. When you find that point, stay there. Apply gentle, steady pressure.
Now, make tiny circles with your fingers, almost imperceptible. As you do that, let the air out through the mouth in a slow, continuous exhale. The goal is not to force an opening. It is to offer the body a new signal. It is safe to let go. Observe what happens. Maybe warmth, maybe a fine tremor, maybe the next inhale drops a little deeper. Repeat it once more. Find the point, press gently, make the tiny circles, and let the air out slowly. Now release your hands and compare your breath now to the way it felt before. If something in the center feels less rigid, less guarded, more available, the signal has started to land. In the days that followed, Connie returned to that same point. In the first week, the tension still came back, but with less force. In the second, her breath began to drop on its own during the day. In the third, something happened that she never expected. During a meeting, a disagreement came up. Normally, Connie would have stayed quiet. This time, she spoke. No explosion, no hardness. She simply spoke. Her chest did not close first. Her stomach did not tighten afterward. She took up the space that had always been hers, and she stayed there.
Now do the second part of the practice. Sit with your spine upright, without stiffness. Let your shoulders find their natural place. Now notice your sternum. In many people, it sits slightly pulled back, as if the body is still protecting itself. Let the sternum release gently forward without forcing it. Also, allow the ribs to expand to the sides, and let the belly exist without holding. Sternum released, ribs available, belly free. Breathe like this. Now close your lips gently and make a low, continuous humming sound, a murmur. Sustain that sound through the whole exhale. Notice where the vibration lands. Repeat this 3 times. This is your anchor. Use it whenever you notice the center tightening. Repeat inwardly, I allow myself to be present. Not as a beautiful phrase, but as an instruction for return.
The body you are inhabiting now is not exactly in the same state it was when this video began. The change may be subtle, but subtle does not mean small. Your breath may have found more space. Your center may have lost part of its armor, and the way you occupy your place may already be starting to change. What was once automatic contraction begins to become conscious choice, and that changes everything. If this touched something real in you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And write this in the comments: I allow myself to be present, and my center supports who I am. Because when the body stops confusing presence with danger, existing no longer feels like too much.